Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Hatha practice. For today, there isn't really anything specific that you'll need, but I suggest having a soft block or something for padding nearby, and then maybe a couple hard blocks will be useful as well. And then I'll invite you to get started in legs up pose. So you can have any of the props nearby that you need for that, and you can come to lying down on the back. I like to elevate the hips a little bit. So if you like, you might use a soft cushion somewhere under the bum, wherever feels the most comfortable. And then from here, you can lift the knees up. You might start off with bent knees here. You could even hold the knees with the hands. If you feel ready to extend the legs, you can do so any amount. And find something that feels sustainable for these first couple minutes. At any point, you can change it up as well. And then see what feels good for the arms. Do you want to take them up overhead on the floor? Do you want to reach them towards the ceiling? Keep them somewhere on the body? Find whatever feels the most comfortable. And then if it feels okay to close down the eyes, go for it. As you start to settle in here, notice what the shape feels like in the body. And maybe take a scan from the feet to the head, just checking in with everything. And take a moment to notice the quality of your breath as well. Does it feel smooth and long, or is it a little bit choppy? And there might be something you want to adjust in your shape to help your breath feel a little bit more easeful, a little more comfortable. And only when you feel ready to start to move the body, you might reach the arms up towards the ceiling if they aren't there already, and then start to make some circles through the wrists and through the ankles. And choose a direction and make a few long circles. And you can also pause somewhere along the way, especially if there's a sticky spot. And then change the direction when you feel ready to. Awesome. And give the hands, the feet a little bit of a shake out. And then collect the knees into the chest and give yourself a squeeze here. If you have a prop underneath, you can move that out of the way as you're ready. And gentle rock side to side, or maybe a few circles, the small of the back, one direction, then the other. Awesome. From here, when you're ready, we'll separate the knees and reach in between for a happy baby. It's still early in the practice, so you may choose to catch hold of the ankles instead of the feet. You can take the knees as far apart as you want, and then if you like to take a rock here, side to side, go for it. You can use a little bit of resistance with the elbows into the inner thigh. Awesome. When you feel ready, we'll release the feet down to the floor. Walk the feet in so that they're roughly underneath the knees. And then from here, lift the left foot up, cross the left ankle over the right knee. Thread the needle. You can stay exactly here. You can reach through, catch hold of that right hamstring, maybe the right shin or knee. Check in with the left knee. Make sure that it feels comfortable in this shape. You might flex the foot for a little bit more stability. And if you like a rock, go for it. If you like to press the left elbow to the inside of the left thigh, maybe that will deepen the stretch for you. Awesome. And then lowering that right foot back down, you can uncross and we'll set up the second side. Right ankle over the left knee. The side may feel a little different, so take it slow, make any modifications that you need to. And then again, you can choose a little bit of movement or go straight to stillness here. And if you need a little more time this side, you're welcome to stay. When you feel ready, you can release out the same way. Now take the feet nice and wide on the mat, lower both knees down towards the right hand side. And then you can stay here. If it feels okay to put that right ankle over the left knee, then go for it and choose the arm expression you like. It might feel nice to reach the arms up to the floor overhead. Notice the whole left side of the body. Notice the quad, the hip. Notice the side waist, the ribs. And then from here, lowering that right foot back down to the floor. And lift the knees back up to center. We'll go straight to the second side. So with the feet wide, lower the knees down to the left. And that same option, if it's available, this side, left ankle over the right knee. Noticing the right side of the body here. Imagine that you can breathe a sense of space into it. Awesome. And then the left foot finds the floor. Lift the knees back up to center. And bring the knees back into the chest and give yourself that squeeze. Maybe lift the head, the shoulders as well. Curl up into a ball. Give yourself a rock side to side. And then from here, hands to the backs of the knees. Start to rock up and down the length of the spine a few times to massage the back. And then build up a little momentum. Come up towards a seat. And from here, touching the feet down to the floor, you might scoop the flesh of the bum out of the way a little bit to better connect the sit bones. And take a moment to ground down through the sit bones to lengthen up through the spine. A setting for boat pose, so you can stay here and work with the breath. You can come to tippy toes. You can lift both shins or alternate. And you can release the hands if you want a little more challenge. Notice the space across the chest and the collarbones. Notice the shrug muscles. See if you can find a little bit of softness there. And then notice what the head's doing. If the chin's sticking forward, see if you can find a slight tuck to lengthen the back line of the neck. Notice your breath here. Last couple of deep breaths. Awesome. And when you're ready, you can touch the feet down to the floor, roll over the knees, and come and find a tabletop position. Setting the hands roughly underneath the shoulders. And find whatever hand position feels the most comfortable. So if you'd rather be in fists, if that's better for your wrists, go for it. If you want to hold blocks. Inhale breath, let the belly sag down, lift the heart space and the tailbone. And as you exhale, reverse it, lengthen through the back body. And take a few rounds with your breath, your pace. And you're welcome to add on any extra movement that your body's asking for. Last few rounds, so just make sure you feel even on both sides if you've added something on. And the next time you inhale, come back to your tabletop, pause for a moment. Find a slight hug through the low belly, so imagine drawing the pubic bone towards the belly button. And from here, we'll lower the forearms down to the floor. You can keep them parallel or bring the hands together if that's more comfortable. And then from here, press the elbows down to stabilize the shoulders, and then step one foot and then the other to the back of the mat. The knees can stay lifted. If you'd rather lower them for a more supportive version, go for it. And listen to your breath. Imagine length from the heels to the crown of the head. And if there's any pressure to the low back, lift the bum a little higher and see if that helps. Notice if there's anything kind of holding on or clenching here that doesn't have to be. Maybe it's the face and it can soften a little. And the last few deep breaths. If you want a little longer here, go for it. Otherwise, bring the knees down to the floor, coming back onto the hands. You might walk the hands just forward of the shoulders, spread the fingers nice and wide. And then as you're ready, we'll tuck the toes, lift the knees, and find downward facing dog. And take the first breath or two to set up your shape. If you want to adjust any of the proportions, find the version of the shape that feels the most stable for today. And then maybe some movement, warming up the back lines of the legs, maybe pedaling heels or swaying hips, maybe pulsing in and out of plank a couple times. The hands stay active, finding that stability in the shoulders. Give yourself as much of a bend in the knees as you need, especially if there's pressure in the low back. And when you're ready, coming to stillness in the shape, find your breath. And then together, a deep inhale through the nose. And a deep sigh. One more. Now inhale, bend the knees and look forward. And as you exhale, walk the feet towards the hands and find your forward fold at the top of the mat. And perhaps a generous bend to the knees here. The arms can be in any expression you like. They can dangle or bind. Maybe a little movement, swaying the torso, or maybe alternate, bending the knees a little more, a little less. Awesome. When you feel ready, bring the hands to the shins. Take an inhale, find a halfway lift, and then pause here with your exhale. Let the blood adjust. A deep inhale, lengthen, tailbone to crown. Exhale, stay. You might make the hands just a little lighter. The feet are pressing to the floor. Lengthen, heels to tailbone. One last deep inhale. And exhale. With a flat back, inhale all the way up to stand. Arms up towards the ceiling. And if you feel lightheaded here, you can keep the arms up for as long as you need. Find a little softness for the shoulders. As you feel ready, release the arms down to your sides and take a moment to check in with the feet. Maybe lift and spread the toes. Find a sense of evenness, a sense of balance. And chest stays proud, shoulders stay soft, back of the neck stays long. Awesome. As you're ready, take a deep inhale, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, bend the knees and find your chair pose. So as much of a bend as feels appropriate in your body. Notice the low back. If it feels like a deep back bend, maybe that hug, pubic bone to belly button. Arms can be up or forward or come to prayer or lap if that's better in your body. And take a few deep breaths here. Awesome. Take one last inhale, lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. And as you exhale, step the right foot to the back of the mat. You can lower the right knee to the floor and then set yourself here for a low lunge. You can add padding. If the floor is far away for your hands, then use a block under each hand. And then from here, inhale, breath, open the heart space, maybe lift the gaze. Exhale, breath, shift the hips back. Left leg can extend any amount. And then inhale, come forward. And exhale, shift back. And keep going, your breath, your pace. And even here, you can pause anywhere along the way. You can add a little extra movement. Last couple. The next time you inhale, come forward, set the hands. And as you exhale, step back to downward facing dog. A breath or two to set yourself up here. Any adjustments you need to make. And then when you're ready, take an inhale breath, shift forward to plank pose. Exhale breath, lower all the way down to the belly. You can use the knees. Untuck the toes, inhale for a baby cobra. Soften down. And twice more. Last one. Your next inhale up to tabletop. Your next exhale back to downward facing dog. Awesome. Now inhale, lift the right leg up behind you. And as you exhale, step the right foot forward between the hands. This time spin the left heel to the floor, left toes point left. And then cartwheel the arms up. We'll set up a warrior two. And check in with your feet here. See what relationship between front and back foot feels the most stable, the most grounding. Arms can reach. Shoulders stay soft. Gaze can be to the side or forward. See what feels best for your neck here. Awesome. From here, slowly start to press down through the front foot, extend the right leg. And then inhale breath, reach forward as far as you can with the right hand. And then as you exhale, hinge and take the right hand, shin, block, floor. Left hand can find the hip or reach up towards the ceiling. Maybe the gaze will follow. Now imagine a sense of length from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. Imagine that the feet are pressing down actively to keep you steady in space. And then breathe, fill up your shape. The last couple of deep breaths here. Awesome. The next time you inhale, reach the left arm towards the front of the room, palm faces down. And then as you exhale, start to bend into that front knee, bring the elbow to the thigh for extended side angle. Now reach from the left fingertips, press down through the pinky toe edge of the left foot, make a strong line there. Awesome. Keep the deep bend into the front knee. The next time you inhale, come all the way up, left hand to hip, right arm reaches up and over. Maybe bend that top elbow and catch the back of your head. And take a deep inhale, lengthen that right side, and then stay, maybe bend a little deeper. Another deep inhale, full exhale. Last two. And stay here, deep inhale. And as you exhale, cartwheel both hands to the floor and step forward to a forward fold. Now check in with the hips, take movement, stillness. And we'll take about 5 breaths before we set up for the second side. So you can stay in your forward fold. If you'd rather come up to stand, then you might go straight there. Wherever you are, check in with your breath, check in with the body. Joining in mountain pose when you're ready. And only when you feel ready to move on, flutter open the eyes. Inhale breath, reach the arms up. Exhale breath, bend the knees, chair pose. Any version, and it can be the same as the first round or something different. Breathe that length into the spine, that space for the chest, softness for the shoulders, for the face. And stay here, one last inhale, and hinge and forward fold as you exhale. Now halfway lift, lengthen, and step the left foot to the back of the mat, lower the left knee down to the floor. Low lunge, hands to fists or blocks. Inhale breath, stretch the front body, lift the gaze. Exhale breath, hips back. Flow your breath, your pace. Last few. Inhale breath, come forward and plant the palms downward facing dog. And again, a breath or two to set yourself. When you're ready, inhale forward to plank. And lower all the way down. 3 rounds of Cobra with your breath. And tabletop when you're ready, and back to downward facing dog. And this time, left leg lifts, stretch. Exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands, spin the right heel to the floor. Inhale, breath, come on up, and we'll set warrior 2. So again, take a moment, find the relationship between front and back foot that feels best for today. Arms are reaching, shoulders soft. Even here, you might check in. Does it feel like a deep back bend? Maybe you need a slight hug through the low belly. Awesome. When you feel ready to, slowly extend that front leg long. Inhale, breath, reach forward as far as you can. And then exhale, hinge for triangle. Left hand, shin block floor. Right hand, hip or up to the ceiling. Gaze wherever feels best for today. That length in the spine, active core here, feet pressing to the floor, keeping you steady. And the next time you inhale, reach the right arm overhead, palm towards the floor. As you exhale, bend the left knee, bring the left foot to the left thigh, and then take a deep stretch from the right foot all the way to the right fingertips. And breathe that space to the chest. Left arm can be as active as you need it to be. Now check in with the left knee, the left leg. Keep the deep bend there, and then the next time you inhale, come on up and arc back to reverse warrior. And take a deep inhale. Maybe bend a little deeper. Stay here for 4 deep breaths. Last one. And one final inhale here. A little different as you exhale, cartwheel hands to the floor. This time step back to downward facing dog. We'll take about 8 breaths, so you can stay in down dog, pedal the heels. You can drop the knees and press the child's pose. And rock pose, kneeling position is also a good option. So find the rest shape that feels best for you, and if you'd rather rest in movement, then maybe a few rounds of cat-cow. Awesome. If you're in down dog, drop the knees to the floor, meet me in a kneeling position. And then from here, we'll actually lower the hips down to one side, and you can bring the legs out in front. We'll set up deer pose, and if you like, you can have a soft lock nearby in case you need it. You can start off with the left leg first. So bring the left shin parallel to the top edge of the mat, the right shin parallel to the long edge of the mat. This is the basic blueprint, but you can bring the feet a little closer to the body. That might soften the pose for you. If there's sensitivity in the knee, you could also use your block either underneath the knee, or you can try under the hip instead. And then from here, we'll take it to a fold. So fold wherever you get that nicest stretch, whatever that means to you. So it can be more towards the knee, more towards the foot. You can experiment a little to see what feels best. Make sure that the rest of the body feels comfortable. If you want to stack hands for the forehead or use a prop. As you settle into the shape, notice your breath here. about halfway through the shape, so if there's anything you need to adjust, then go for it. As you feel ready to come up, slowly walk the hands back in, lift your torso. We'll slide that left heel a little bit closer to the body and then swing that right leg around, bring it to the outside of the left knee. So take a moment, make sure both hips feel level. You can add more height if you like. And then take the right hand behind you. Inhale, reach the left arm high. And then as you exhale, twist towards the right, arm around the knee, any way you like it. Now focus on the length in the spine here, maybe a slight engagement through the belly. If you like to take the gaze over that back shoulder, twisting a little further up, then go for it. Awesome. The next time you inhale, unravel to center, and then take your counter twist over to the left and pause. And we're going to head to a three-legged dog facing the back of the mat. So keeping your hands down, you can press through the feet to lift the hips and crawl into your down dog shape and then send the left leg up in the air. You can bend the knee or keep it extended. You can stack the hips here or maybe draw some circles. But notice what's happening with the hands. See if you can keep them evenly pressing into the floor. And stretch out that whole left side. Now stay in three-legged dog, but square the hips. Left leg up in the air, left toes pointing down, and take a deep inhale. As you exhale, left knee towards the left elbow. Inhale, send it back. And same again. Again, inhale. And exhale. Now for the transition, inhale, leg back. As you exhale, step the left foot just outside the left hand. You can lower the right knee down to the floor. Setting up lizard lunge. Left toes can point forward or out to the side. And then from here, we'll set up for a twist so you can take that right hand to the right a little bit. Left hand to the left thigh, maybe to begin with, and then start to turn the chest open towards the left. Option to stay here or reach the left arm towards the back. Option as well to bend that back knee and reach for the foot. And sometimes if the foot feels a little far away, you bring the hips out so that you can catch the foot, and then you can lower the hips once again. Now you can be on the right hand. You could also lower down to that right elbow. Any version of the shape. Awesome. If you have the quad stretch, you can release it. And if you're on the elbow, you're welcome to stay and experiment doing this transition on the forearm here, or you can come back onto the hand. We're going to transition towards a side plank, so you might set the forearm so that it's roughly parallel to the top edge of the mat. It might help to walk that left foot down the mat until the hips feel relatively comfortable. And from here, we'll lift that back knee up and then turn all 10 toes this side. For the elbow, through that back foot, left arm can reach up or over. Now make sure you're still breathing here. And if there's anything you need to adjust in the body, go for it. Maybe that left foot needs to come even further left. Now stay here, last couple of deep breaths. Sweet. And as you exit, you can lower the left hand for support. We'll slowly lower down onto that right hip. Now, using the hands for support, we're going to spin to come towards a seat. We're going to keep that left leg wrapped around. So you might even help that left foot a little bit further up to the side. Think of your cow face pose as like a one-legged version of that. But if there's anything you need to adjust in the hips, if it's better to do a figure 4 or something else, then listen to your body. Option to sit up off of something as well. Now check in to see where you are. If this feels like plenty of a stretch in your body, or maybe you want a quieter shape like this, then feel free to stay. Also, the option to hinge forward a little bit. Notice what happens to that right hip. You can use the hands for support here. And there's no destination, so don't worry about pushing yourself to be in any particular shape. If you can feel a nice stretch, whether it's in the low back, the hip, or the hamstring, then breathe into that and stick with it for a few breaths. If you need a little more time here, feel free to stay. Otherwise, as you're ready to come out, use the support of the hands and lift yourself. And then you can unwrap that left leg. Maybe a gentle windshield wiper, a swish of the feet side to side. If there's anything else that needs to release, then go for it. And then in between sides, I'd like us to rest in a staff pose. Staff pose can be kind of active as well, so find a version of it that feels good for right here. I'm going to continue to sit up off of a prop. And then you could keep the legs extended, or you could add a bend to the knees. You could also come almost to that boat shape that we were in before. See where you want the hands, maybe by your sides, on the lap. Prayer, more challenge might be to reach them up overhead. Whatever you choose, find that length, tailbone to crown, that slight tuck of the chin, keep the back of the neck long. And chest stays proud here. And last few deep breaths. And when you're ready, you flutter open the eyes. If they were closed, wiggle the fingers and the toes, maybe a tap at the knees. If you're using a prop, you can remove it, and we'll set up deer pose on that second side. So this time the right leg will be in front, right shin roughly parallel to the top edge, left shin roughly parallel to the left edge. And then again, you might bring the feet a little bit closer to the body and see if you want to add a little cushioning somewhere and see where it feels best to fold from, and then settle into your fold. And we're about halfway through. If there's anything you need to adjust, or if your body's asking you to come out sooner, that's fine too. With an inhale breath, the support of the hands, start to bring yourself back up. And keep the general shape. Bring the right heel a little bit closer, and then swing the left leg around, left foot outside of the right knee. And take a moment to balance out the hips here. Left hand behind, right arm reaches high. Deep inhale, and then twist towards the left. Twist. Notice the shrug muscles if they start to lift. See if you can keep them soft. Maybe the gaze turned towards the back. You can keep using that left hand as much as you need for resistance. With an inhale breath, unravel back to center. Take your counter twist over towards the right. And then that same transition to a three-legged dog facing the back. So bring the hands and the feet down, lift the hips. And downward facing dog, and then lift your right leg up in the air. You can keep it extended or stack the hips, bend the knee, maybe some circles. And check in with the hands. Make sure that the shoulders feel relatively even and balanced here. Stillness or movement for a couple of deep breaths. And then re-extending that right leg if it's bent, balancing out the hips. Deep inhale, right knee towards the right elbow. Exhale. Inhale, send it back. And same. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Now inhale, leg back. And step the right foot just outside of the right hand, setting your lizard lunge second side. Lowering the left knee, maybe padding. Right foot can point forward or to the side, maybe left hand a little bit wider. Right hand to the right thigh, and with an inhale, turn your chest open towards the right. You can stay, you can extend the right arm up. If you're going for that quad stretch, maybe hips back a little so you can catch the foot, and then let the hips dip down once again. And the option to lower to the left elbow if you did so on the first side. And releasing that left foot as you're ready. Right hand can come down for support. And again, you can stay on the forearm for the side plank. Bring that left elbow underneath the left shoulder. Press it down to find some stability. And then start to walk that right foot down towards the back of the mat until you feel spacious enough that you can lift the back knee, all 10 toes towards your right. And press the feet down, the elbow down to lift the hips. Imagine that length from the left heel to the crown of the head, and whatever you like to do with that top arm, go for it. A few deep breaths here. And gradually lowering that left hip down as you're ready, with the support of the hands coming up towards the seat and keeping the right leg wrapped around. You can add some height for the hips as needed. Make sure that that right knee and hip feel comfortable. You can adjust where the leg is if you need to. And the option to stay upright like that staff pose variation. Or with the support of the hands, you might start to hinge your way forward. Notice your breath here. Notice what the body's feeling. With an inhale breath, the support of the hands, slowly lift yourself back up. You can uncross the legs, maybe windshield wiper the feet a little bit side to side. And in about 8 to 10 breaths, we'll meet in downward facing dog. So see what you need between now and then. You can stay in staff pose. You could come over the knees and find child's pose or down dog, rock pose. And if you need to rest in movement, then maybe a few rounds of cat cow. Making your way to down dog when you feel ready. Together, a deep inhale through the nose, and deep sigh. Once more. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. As you exhale, step, walk, or hop. Find your forward fold at the top, and then inhale, lengthen, and sigh it out. Once more. Strong belly, flat back. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Circle the arms up. If you're at all lightheaded, you can keep the arms up. When you're ready, release them to your sides. And take a moment, find your mountain pose. Feel the connection of the feet to the floor. If the eyes are closed, you can flutter them back open, wiggle fingers and toes. We'll sit up to balance. If you like to be near a wall, then go for it. And lift the left toes up, spread them out, lower them with a little space, and really feel the connection of the sole of the left foot to the floor. When you're ready, with an inhale, lift the right knee to center, and then cross right ankle over left knee. If the shape doesn't work for you, feel free to have the toes touching down in more of a curtsy shape. And then from here, start to bend into that left knee. Think of chair pose, sticking the bum straight back in space. Find a depth that feels appropriate, that feels comfortable for you. A little more stability for that right knee. You can flex the right foot. And just like in chair, notice the low back, and if it feels like a deep back bend, maybe a little more tone through the belly. And keep breathing that length into the spine. I'm here for a couple more breaths. So option to stay exactly as you are, or start to hinge and bring the elbows towards that right shin. And listen to your body. Keep breathing here. If you need a few more breaths, then feel free to stay. Otherwise, inhale breath to come on out and give the left leg a little shake. Anything else that needs movement here. And then come and find your mountain pose for a few deep breaths. When you're ready, wiggle fingers and toes. And lift and spread the right toes, lower them down. Really ground down through the sole of the right foot. And then left knee lifts to center, left ankle over the right knee. And set up any way you need to. And then when you feel ready, you start to bend into that right knee. Bum goes straight back. Find a depth that feels appropriate and workable. That same option to start to hinge and lower the elbows down towards the shin for these last few breaths. And fun fact, this is similar to that thread the needle shape that we do from the back sometimes, just with a different relationship to gravity. Okay, when you're ready to come up with an inhale breath, start to lift yourself, lower the left foot down, and give yourself a little movement, and then come back into your mountain pose. And check back in with your breath, with your body here. And then from your mountain pose, as you feel ready, we'll take the feet a little bit wider apart, maybe as wide as the mat. Point the knees out to an angle, and we'll lower down to a squat. So a standing squat, if that feels better for you, feel free to stay more upright. You can start to dip the pelvis down towards the floor. And hands can find the floor, or they can find each other. And then see if you need to create more stability for the pelvis. Then as the elbows press the knees apart, find some resistance with the knees. And then from here, as you feel ready, lower one hand behind you and then the other, bring the bum down to the floor. And maybe a few rounds of a windshield wiper here to release. Awesome. And then from here, we'll bring the legs around and we'll set up a wide-legged stance. So take the feet as far apart as feels comfortable. I like to sit up off of a prop for this as well. Awesome. Legs can be fully extended. You can also have a bend in the knees, and you can use props underneath if you want a little bit more support. Now you can be upright here, similar to staff pose. Think about that length in the spine, maybe resting the hands. Otherwise, if you like to fold, then find length with an inhale. With an exhale, start to hinge your way forward, and you can walk the hands along for support. Now, if you're ready to settle straight in, then go for it. Otherwise, deep inhale, lengthen part way up, and exhale, soften back in. A few more pulses with your breath. Settling into stillness whenever you feel ready to. We're here for a few more deep breaths. If there's anything else you need to adjust, then go for it. And if your body is asking you to come out sooner, then that's fine as well. When you do feel ready with an inhale, with the support of the hands, start to lift yourself back up. And take a moment to lengthen the spine, maybe hands back to puff up the chest, a little counter stretch. Awesome. We'll take it to a twist. So turn towards the left, hands wherever feel the most comfortable. And breathe into the spine here. And then inhale, come to center. And exhale, take it over towards the right. Inhale, breath back to center. And you can use the hands to help bend the knees once again. And from here, you might do a windshield wiper. And when you're ready, if you're on a prop, you can hop off of it, and we'll come to lie down on the belly. We'll set up for Sphinx pose here. So, and come to the belly. You can have the elbows underneath the shoulders. If this is too steep a back bend, you can walk them forward as much as you need. And find a sense of softness through the low body. If something's holding on that doesn't need to be, then see if you can let that go. And see what works best for the head and for the neck. You can keep the neck neutral. You can have the gaze lifted slightly. You could have the head hang heavy. And see which expression works best for you for today. And we'll stay here for about 1 more minute. If your body's letting you know that it's ready to come out, you could lower down, maybe bring the forehead onto the hands. Otherwise, if you're staying in, if you're happy where you are, then stay. Otherwise, if you want something a little bit more intense for this last little bit, then you can press the hands down, lift the elbows up off the floor. And just like setting Sphinx pose for seal pose, you could take the hands a little further forward and soften the back bend or a little bit closer. And from here as well, the option to bend the knees, maybe the feet are together. And you can do any combination of this. So you can have elbows down and lift the feet, or you can lift everything. And last 5 or so breaths here. And if you want a few more breaths here, then stay. Otherwise, lowering the feet, lowering the elbows if they're lifted. And the elbows wide, lower the forehead down. And you can keep forehead in center, or turn the head to one side. Maybe a swish of the hips side to side to release low back. If you like to slide a knee up to one side, then go for it. Maybe 4 breaths per side. And before you move on, make sure you feel even on both sides. And then any way you like to get there, you can flip yourself onto your back. And once you arrive, you can bend the knees, bring the feet roughly underneath them. And then from here, scoot the hips over to the left a few inches and then lower the knees down towards the right. And you can add support in between or underneath the knees, maybe arms to a T shape or cactus. And settling into your twist. And if you like to take the gaze down towards the left, then go for it. Bringing the head back to center, lifting your legs up back to center. Hips to center, and then hips towards the right a few inches, knees down to the left. And then this side may feel different. So again, you can use support between or underneath the knees, maybe under one of your shoulders. Now find the arm expression that feels best and settle in here. And if you did so on the first side, gaze can come down towards the right. And the head comes back to center and lift the knees back up. With your hips to the midline, take the feet wide apart, maybe as wide as the mat. And then from here, let the knees rest in together. Maybe hands are somewhere on the body. And then check in with the body, see if it's asking for any last quiet shape or stretch or movement. If you like to come to happy baby or something like that, then go for it. Otherwise, as you feel ready, we'll set up for a rest shape for Shavasana. If it feels okay for today to extend the legs long down the mat, maybe the arms somewhere beside you. If lying on your back doesn't feel great, then you're welcome to take legs up pose, or you can come to a kneeling position, a child's pose, maybe a seated meditation. And take your time to set up. Maybe give yourself a little movement to settle yourself in. And settling into your shape as you feel ready. Finding your rest. Gently bring your attention back to this space. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Give the head a rock side to side. And if you like a full body stretch, reach the arms up overhead and find some length from the tips of the fingers to the tips of the toes. Maybe wiggle hips and shoulders. And from here, you might bring the knees back into the chest one more time and wrap the arms around them. Give yourself a hug. Roll side to side, up and down. And see how you like to transition to a seat. You can roll down to one side. You could gently roll your way up to a seat and take your time if you need to pause along the way. And eventually we'll meet in a comfortable seated position using any props that you need for support. Settle the hips, lengthen the spine. Hands can rest wherever they feel the most comfortable. You can stay or collect the hands in at the heart, maybe bow the chin into the chest. And thank you for sharing your breath and your practice. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for practice today. And again, my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy the rest of your day.